What's up, everybody? Episode 3, the West Coast Preps podcast is back, and you notice there's also a third person in here today. This is Chris Jackson. We got James Dalpino with his 49er stuff there in the background, and then we've got Terrence, the San Francisco hoodie, and he saw a great game on that campus the other night as well. We'll get into that in a minute, but Terrence, introduce yourself, tell everybody more about who you are and your background.
For sure, it's great to be making my podcasting debut today. I'm a San Francisco native, born and raised. Went to Wallenberg High School, finishing up my master's of sport management at USF. I'm really invested in the high school basketball scene here in San Francisco. Cover mostly the WCAL teams here in the city, and looking to branch out to the BCL as well. And really excited to help West Coast preps out with the coverage.
Yeah, love having Terrence on board and done some great work. And he had a great story there on Tuesday evening at War Memorial where Riordan beat St. Ignatius by 2, where I don't think you could script it better than this. I don't know if Hollywood could either, where future USF Don, Andrew Hilman on the hilltop, as James also texted me, right? Hillman on the hilltop and had those heroics and the game winner, all that stuff. Terrence, go more into that game, the storylines heading into that matchup, and just some of the other stuff he saw from that game.
Of course, as someone who's really invested in the history of basketball, like I said, in the city. I know we have the Super Bowl coming up in about 10 days here, but I dubbed this game the Super Bowl of San Francisco high school basketball to see who really, runs this city. You had arguably the biggest game between two city teams since I believe the 2017 NorCal playoffs between SI and Mission. Both teams coming in undefeated in WCAO play, looking for first place. Elite teams in the state, and not to mention, playing at USF, which created a loud, compact, and sold out environment that you can't really replicate. Getting into the game as for itself, it was really a defensive battle. First half, Riordan's calling card is defense, and the size of P-Tobbs and Fule really made it tough on SI as well as DJ Armstrong, who played well. But SI is really good at making adjustments heading into the second half and started to make shots and tighten up their defense to cut what was a 14-point deficit down to three heading into the fourth. And fourth was really a back and forth battle. SI took the lead actually a couple of times. Alex Moore, Andy Ennis, Noah Kirsch Lopez were really big for them, and Raymond Whitley hit two key free throws to tie the game with 30 seconds left. And so I wanted to set up the final sequence, and as I mentioned, it was something like out of a Disney movie, right? You couldn't have scripted better. You have Andrew Hilman, Riordan senior point guard, committed to USF, playing on his home floor for the first time. Ball in his hands with 30 seconds left to run out the shot clock. The crowd is loud. Everyone has their phone out. He escapes the double team, and as he pulls up in the paint, he realizes there's two more defenders on him. So he double clutches midair and sinks the jumper to win the game and gets mauled by his teammates. Some would compare the shot to Michael Jordan over Craig Elo in the 1989 NBA playoffs for you ball knowers out there. And finally, in terms of like the post-game thoughts, Coach Curtin of Riordan asked Drew if he wanted to call a timeout in that final sequence, and Drew actually waved him off, saying, "I got you," and made that shot. And big time players rise up in the biggest moments, and USF is going to be happy to have him next year. Drew has compared his game to SGA, and I really see a lot of similarities there. And I think it says a lot about Riordan's poise to pull out another close game out, but also about how good SI is to push Riordan to the brink. Not many teams can really do that. So, like Riordan, SI is deep, they're veteran led, they have size and have an incredible inside out offense. Yeah. So that's about the game.
I love that historical basketball comparison to going back to 89 before I was born, before I think any of us were born too. That's freaking
Oh,
awesome there. I mean, Andrew Hillman, more about him for both of you too.
Yeah.
Is there anyone playing better basketball in the Bay Area than him this year?
Funnily enough, I was watching the video that multiple people put out, and you're right, Terrence. He kind of hangs in the air like MJ a little bit too on that shot. But, Chris, we do that top 65 or top 45 for
Yeah.
basketball, the player rankings, and I had Hillman number one, Elias Abenya number two. And, it's neck and neck. I mean, you can make an argument for either one of those guys. Those are the two of the elite players in Northern California. And as close as they are, you got to look at the minuscule details. You got to look at the small things that might elevate one player over another. And the reason why I picked Tillman over Abenya, and he proved it on Tuesday night. In the big games, in the big moments, who do I want the ball? Who do I want to have the ball in the final moments of the game to hit a big shot? And Hillman's proven that he's a big game player. He had, as a sophomore in that CCS game against Midi, CCS championship game against Midi, he had some big moments, showing flashes of what's to come. 16 points last year in the CCS title game against St. Ignatius, a completely different St. Ignatius team, but still showing up on the biggest stages. He had a team leading 15 points against De La Salle in their NorCal win last year as well. And now the biggest shot of the season for Riordan, and as Terrence said, the Super Bowl for San Francisco's high school basketball. So he just continues to prove that he's a big time player, and I think that he is. There's no one playing better than him right now.
For sure, and like to add on that, he's really just a smooth operator. He missed a couple of games
Yep.
due being out to injury, but that really helped with growing the confidence of the other players and with Riordan's depth. And I mean, no one speeds him up. He can finish at the rim. He can pull up in mid range. Like I mentioned, the comparison to Shea, and they do a really good job of getting him downhill, and he makes really great decisions with the ball. So he's a fantastic player. Great to have him next year at USF. He's gonna do some great things for the program.
And Terrence, you just wrote a great story on another guy in that roster. You mentioned JP as well, the Latvian sensation. You mentioned Andras Biedrins in that story as well, being Latvian too. Heck, what does JP bring to that table for Reardon?
I mean, just an incredible defensive presence. He is uh, a big frame with being 6'9" and just growing as a leader and continuing to improve his game and get more offers. He has an offer from USF as well, so I'm sure that he wanted to be there on the court and show out. And he is a fantastic player, one of the best big men in NorCal. So
And St. Ignatius has had some injury problems too. Whitley missed some time, comes back. What does this say about SI, about where they stack up in the Bay Area to, I mean, take Reardon, the defending NorCal Open champs, down to that final possession?
yeah, like I said, it says a lot about them. They like Riordan, they have a lot of size. They're very deep. They're very veteran. Guys like MIT commit Steele LaBaugh, James mentioned before, the Twin Towers of Landers and Alex Moore, the Sean Buchanan. He's also a really good player as well. Noah Kirsch Lopez. He's really a bull inside, really a great interior player. Anthony DeKisto. They're a great team, and not many teams push Riordan to the limit like that. So I think it says a lot about them, and I believe firmly those are the two top teams in the WCAL for sure.
Is there a way that SI can get Reardon in another matchup, let's say in the playoffs, if it comes down to that? And if so, how can SI take that next step and become that top dog in the CCS?
I mean, they show that they're knocking on the door. I know that it's a neutral site. They're gonna get a shot at Riordan, I believe, at Riordan later on in the season. And I, you know, they were up or they were down 14 and rallied back in. And they're a team that likes to take control of the game early, which of course didn't happen on Tuesday night. But they found the ingredients. They found what can work. They found different looks that they can throw, especially in that second half, as Terrence was saying, when they stormed back into it. And that's a building block. That is a big building block for them heading down the stretch. And, Whitley was coming off the bench. He'll be back in big starting minutes hopefully soon. I'm happy that he's back out on the floor. That team is very competitive when he's back out there. Even when he wasn't out there, they were very competitive just to show how deep they are as a unit, and that's going to be a big game. And as Terrence was saying, they're probably going to play two more times, and with the CCS Open Championship possibility as well.
Yeah, these two teams play again the end of the regular season, February 17th at Riordan, 7:30 p.m. That's going to be a game everyone's probably going to want to be at, right? If this is the way it ended at USF, I think that's going to be a hard ticket to get, especially as we get closer to that day. But February 17th and that regular season, and perhaps for that top seed in the CCS, right? I think it all comes down to that. I mean, a lot can change, a lot can happen between now and the next 3 weeks, and WCal's no easy slate regardless. So we'll see how that goes. But Terrence, thanks a ton for coming on, man. He does great work. Be sure to follow all of his stuff. He's at another game coming up Tuesday as well. SISHE girls basketball there on Tuesday. So be sure to follow that at westcoastpreps.com. But Terrence, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, now we've got Clayton Valley hoops. Let's go to the East Bay, right? Let's cross that Bay Bridge. Or maybe if there's really bad traffic, we got to go a completely different way in the Bay Area, right? To get to Clayton Valley. But let's go there. James had just seen them. I'm in a clinic of team basketball, right? They just
Yep.
beat Camp Leno 57-33, two heavyweight programs in that area in the Diablo Athletic League in Clayton Valley. Just commanded this game at one point. I think they were up 46-23. I want to say they doubled up Campo there and felt like Clayton Valley basketball there at its finest under Franco Laco Jr. 20 plus wins every year this decade. That's been a full season, right? Because there was that one year where there wasn't a full season with COVID, that spring season in 2021, all that, but it's been 20 plus wins every single full year in the Olaco era. But James, what did you learn? What did you see from those ugly Eagles up there on the hill at Clayton Valley?
Man, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat in a playoff game. That's one of the biggest things that I took away. I mean, on both sides of the floor, they just make their opponent work for 32 minutes. Make them sweat, make them uncomfortable, make them, really earn everything that comes their way. And one thing that I was looking at in all of their 8 league games, they haven't given up 35 or more points once. And they've only given up 50 points once against St. Ignatius, a game that they lost, who, as we talked about for 10 minutes, is one of the higher upper echelon teams in the Bay. And defensively, that Alaco defense is always a big part of their identity, and it's showing. And on both sides, they are big and they're lengthy and athletic. And that combination right there is going to be tough to stop come playoff time. You have 6'5" Zion Grissom, 6'5" Cannon Simpson, 6'5" Vince Ellis. All guys that can handle the rock really well. All guys that can create off the dribble. All guys that defend at a high level. And right now they're 18-3, and I'm looking at some of the teams that they might match up well with. And against De La Salle, another tall, lengthy team, they pose challenges because of their athleticism. They're, these 6'5" forward centers that are going to be playing closer to guard skills with their ability to attack the rim, defend, and they're going to be tough to beat. And I really like this team moving forward, and they're confident themselves that they're ready for a big playoff run.
Yeah, that 18-3 record, super impressive when you consider all these teams they play. That's an impressive win. 10 straight, no game in that stretch within single digits, a lot by 20 or 30 points. And I mean, that's a ridiculous stat where no opponents in league play scored more than 35 points, I think is what you said is, I mean, that's unheard of at that
Yeah.
point, the way they play basketball. And they've only lost to 3 teams, right? And these 3 teams are as good as it gets to. They've lost to Modesto Christian by 1 point, Buchanan by 4, St. Ignatius by 2.
Yep.
That's it.
They found the recipe, and Ellis actually missed some time too during the season. He was recovering from a calf strain. Happy to see him back out on the floor. He's only played the last 2 or 3 games, and adding him back into the mix, Alico Jr. He's excited to get his big star scorer back, and it's a recipe that's clicking at the right time, as I like to say.
Yeah, you mentioned it in the story perfectly too. It's team basketball at its very finest. The
Yep.
stats from that win say it: 3 guys, 15 plus points per. Vince Ellis, 18 points on 8 of 12 shooting. Cannon Simpson, 15 points on 7 of 12. Zion Grissom, 15 points on 6 of 9. Efficiency too.
Yeah.
It's just the excellence, the defense on top of it. And they've got 4 guys averaging double figures this year. Those 3, and then Charlie Sullivan's a sophomore averaging over 10. But
Yeah.
This is what the Alaco family does. There was Frank Alaco Sr., coach at De La Salle for 18 years, 17 E-ball titles in that span, two D1 state titles. He coached the West team in the McDonald's All-American game in 2014. Crazy enough, doing research, just learning more about the Alaco family. Frank Alaco Sr. won a national football title at Notre Dame in 73 and also played basketball there for Digger Phelps, who we've seen
Wow.
on TV plenty of times and see his name.
Hmm.
Unbelievable stuff. And then obviously De La Salle coaching and all that. And then his son, Frank Alaco Jr., I mentioned 20 plus wins every full season this decade. And what they've done is beyond impressive. They've been to NTS championships and won it all there. They had it, I think, 2023 with a game winner on Dublin High's campus. I forgot who they played that game, but a crazy game. I think it was a Clayton Valley comeback where they won that game too and got that game winner at the end.
Yeah.
Where does Clayton Valley stack up in the NCS? And I'm going to make it a two-parter. We're going to go into some other East Bay teams here in a second and some other great NCS programs, but where does Clayton Valley stack in the NCS? And heck, who are those open teams looking like right now on January 29th?
Well, I think Salesians in it's a tier of its own. I think that's pretty well known. I know that they lost to St. Joseph, but St. Joseph is, if they're down in Southern California, they're a contender in Southern California. If they're in Northern California this year, they're always a coin flip on what's going to happen. They're probably going to be the number one seed. So they played them tough, played that team really tough. I know that there's been a lot of talks about that loss, but they are still the upper echelon. That second tier, I would go Clayton Valley and De La Salle. Two teams that are built on their height, on their length, on their defense. And I think that they're neck and neck. I really do. Right now in my rankings, I have Clayton Valley 4, De La Salle 5. Both teams, top five teams, both teams with playoff experience, both teams that can go on a big run when it's all said and done. That third tier with to kind of wrap up the open division with those three teams, I would go Moreau Catholic. I would go. This is tough because there's been a lot of shifting kind of things, especially in the EBAL, as you said. I would go. I'll give you four teams. I would go Amador Valley. Amador Valley's clicking right now. They're playing good basketball. Won 6 out of their last 7. Really looking strong here. Doherty Valley. I'll give you 5 teams.
Let's
We'll
just
give you
keep
Doherty
going.
Valley. And then outside of the EBAL, Marin Catholic and Liberty. Those are probably the teams that are eyeing an open bid right now, in my opinion.
And you had talked about, I think, the last podcast, Marin Catholic's 8 seconds or less, right?
Yeah.
Their possessions, they've got to win over De La Salle. Liberty's got to win over Modesto Christian, where they won
And Marin
Modesto
Catholic.
Christian's holiday tournament. That win too. Super impressive stuff. And then Amador Valley as well,
Yeah.
right? 4-2 in the East Bay Athletic League. They came in as a top 5 team by a lot of people in the Bay Area. They've just beat Monte Vista here. They're 4-2 in the E-ball, like I mentioned, second place in the league behind De La Salle. You had just gone to Pleasanton on Tuesday and
Yep.
seen them beat Monte Vista. I think I had seen Amador Valley in that showcase in Monterey Trail where they played Modesto Christian, lost that game, but again, Modesto Christian now has its full complement of guys. Since your Hudson's eligible, playing for them now, he's a D1 prospect, all that stuff. Heck, what is it about Amador Valley? How talented are they? What is it about them? What's their ingredient this year?
Their ingredients is their guards. They have maybe the best trio of guards in definitely the EBAL, maybe even one of the most talented in the entire Bay Area. With San Jose State commit Cade Kruger Jr. and a guy who transferred from Salesian last year, Elijah Stanley, and then Jalen Smith as the potential EBAL Player of the Year candidate. I mean, all these guys can create for their teammates. All these guys can attack the paint at a high level. And all of them are just pure scorers. When they have the balls in their hands, they are all threats on the floor. And that's something that you don't normally get from 3 different guards on the court at the same time on one team. And all of them are explosive, all of them are quick. But Smith really impressed me on Tuesday night against Monte Vista. It was just any time the score was it was a 7-point game, and anytime Monte Vista would kind of creep back into it, Smith would just hit a big shot. Finished with 26 points against the Mustangs, hit 5 3-pointers, and it felt like anytime the ball came out of his hands, it was going in. And he just makes it look so effortless. He's going to be just a junior. He's going to be a really fun player to watch come playoff time. And man, it's scary to think that he's still got another year out at Amador. And as you said, like uh, they've really been clicking lately. Um, they might have the most shocking result of the year with that Livermore game to open up BBAL play. But head coach Willis Gardner said since that moment, this team's locked in. And since that game, they hold wins over Monte Vista, Granada, Dublin, San Ramon Valley, with a non-league win against Liberty, who we just mentioned as a potential open team. And the scariest part is that there's still this will Cam Anderson play this season piece. I talked to Gardner after the game, and he said there's still no updates at this time. But if they add Anderson as a guy that you can just dump it down low and say, go to work, let's get a bucket, it just kind of lift some of that pressure off the guards to create. Anderson's a top 50 player in California, according to ESPN. And if they get him for any stretch of the season or the playoffs, look out. They're gonna be right there with everyone.
He's been a varsity player since his freshman year when he was at Dublin, and his older brother Courtney was a national prospect there too. Started off at Salesian, went to Dublin, family moved out there, ended up at Colorado, hit the portal, all of that. But that family alone, and Cam Anderson being 6'8", what he is, adding more size. If they do get him, let's say they get him by the time the E-ball playoffs come up, by the time NCS comes up, that changes a lot of things too. But Amador Valley, they had that Livermore loss. And then 24 hours later, right, you got to drive up to Sacramento and then you got to play Modesto Christian, right?
Yeah.
So you're going against facing Amari Chandler and Livermore, who we'll get into in a second about some stuff that happened there and going up on the first place team to then play Modesto Christian. But since then, they've just been on fire, right? Some big wins after big wins. And Doherty Valley is right there with them too. Tied in those standings, tied for second place in the East Bay Athletic League. Doherty Valley winning 3 straight NCS titles. And you had seen them last Friday, I think, what was that, in San Ramon, where they beat Monte Vista. And
Yep.
this looks like another Doherty Valley team where if the cards go right, heck, maybe we see them hoisting a banner for a fourth year in a row.
Yeah, they found something in the last couple games with the small ball lineup that Mike Hansen said was his own death lineup, similar to what the Warriors ran in those championship years with you where you put Iguodala and Green as your bigs and say we're just gonna outpace you, we're gonna make you work. And they slot against Monte Vista. They made the adjustment, trailing by 3, I believe, at halftime, sliding Walker to the 5, and they just shut down Monte Vista, held them to 15 points in the entire second half, 5 points in the fourth quarter to go up and earn a double-digit lead. And kind of like Smith, Rashad Cotton Jr. is having one of those. Is he in the running for EBAL Player of the Year? Where he's just had some monster games. He had 28 in their win against Cal on Tuesday, and he's just piled up some big games and shown up for this team in the biggest moments. And it's exciting. And the best part is that these two teams play each other on Friday night. They'll be matched up at Amador Valley for their senior night in a big game between 2-4-2 teams in league play. And it will have big implications on an open bid as well.
Yeah, that East Bay Athletic League race, the talent in that league. Rashad Cotton started his career at Modesto Christian, where he impressed at Doherty Valley. And I love the death lineup stuff. Maybe the Warriors, who knows? What we're hearing about Giannis, maybe they get another death lineup coming, right? You never know. Maybe by the time that this podcast is posted later today, we get an update. Maybe Giannis is a Warrior and we can all be happy again, right? We
That
can
would be,
all want to watch the Warriors again. The Sharks have been fun. The Warriors, not so much fun this year. I don't think we're probably in a place to complain considering what we've been able to watch these last 10 years. But that East Bay race is fun. And then Livermore High School as well. James, you had texted us, I think, on Tuesday, hearing from people at Livermore about a situation that unfolded. What can you tell us more about that? What happened at Livermore High School's gym and just everything that transpired there? And I don't know, future implications of it too.
yeah, so super horrible situation all around. There's no other way to put it. It was super scary for everyone involved. One of my buddies was actually at the game, and I saw that Livermore was up at halftime, and things were developing on the court. And I was just like, keep me updated with what's going on. And he texted me that in the fourth quarter, they had to evacuate the gym due to an alleged firearm on school property, which stopped the game and ended up suspending it for the rest of the night. And great reporting by Mercury News showed that there was footage of a fight that broke out in the hallway that kind of escalated the situation. However, there was no firearm evident, according to their reporting, in the incident. And it's just, it's, it was a developing story at the time. There were reports of alleged shots fired. There was, of course, the reports of an alleged firearm on campus. And it was just horrifying to kind of hear all of this stuff play out at just uh, on a regular Tuesday night in league play. And I'm very, very happy that everyone is uh, safe, and I'm happy that the situation didn't escalate further past what it could have been.
Yeah, and anytime there are any potential reports of a gun, luckily from reporting that we've seen, heard, everything like that, doesn't sound like there was, right,
Yeah,
according to those reports. But anytime there's even the potential thought of one, safety comes first. That's the biggest thing. This is on school grounds, on a school campus too, right? So you got to take every single precaution necessary. Livermore was up in this game 44-41 with 4 minutes left. Would have been their first win over De La Salle in heck, decades, right? It's been a long time. So they've just got that monkey off their back where they beat Amador Valley a few weeks ago for the first league win since 2014, where they had a few stars on that team. A few of them went on to do, I think, Division I track, right? High jumper, long jumper, those types of guys. And we'll see if this game resumes. When it does, if it does, 4 minutes left. Perhaps they finish it at Livermore. Perhaps they finish it before the league tournament. Perhaps they finish it at a neutral site. I'm just throwing things out there. This isn't stuff that I've been told. I'm just throwing out potential permutations. Heck, maybe they decide, like maybe they listen and think this is a great idea. We find a neutral site. Let's go to Dublin or Cal High. Let's meet in the middle. Finish these last 4 minutes. We each get home in 20, 25 minutes after it, right? And get those results and all that stuff too. The most important thing is safety, of course. I'm glad everybody's safe.
yeah,
Everybody's okay. That's by far the biggest thing. But now we'll see if this game does get played, finished, when that happens, and
yeah.
there's a lot
I
that can transpire from it too, because Livermore could get its second league win if they finish this thing off with the win. De La Salle would get just its first league loss. If that happened, they would still be in first place because they're the only team without a loss in the league, or also the only team that has one loss or less too, because there's Doherty and Amador in second with two. But De La Salle finishes off and wins. They're still unbeaten in league play, and that top seed is essentially secured for those league playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it was the right call to suspend it. It's not worth it for the players, the coaches, the parents to finish 4 minutes of a game when there's a potential harmful situation going on right outside the gym doors. And I have nothing confirmed yet, but it sounds like they are planning on trying to get it in sometime next week, which would be uh, a fantastic thing. I mean, it was a great game, and it's so heartbreaking and sad to see that an event like this, just took away a lot of different things from both teams involved.
Yeah, and
Potential
we'll
comeback
go.
or that Livermore win.
Yeah. And we'll go into the positives from this too, in terms of the positives on each team, right? It was Livermore was up on De La Salle. And it
Mhm.
sounded like Amari Chandler, their Division I prospect, their sophomore, wasn't even having his best game as well. So, one, what does this say about the rest of Livermore's team around him too?
It says that they're ready to compete. It says that they are going to give it their all every single night against, and that they won't back down against the big giant of De La Salle.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Brandon Weary, their uh, center, their big man. He's had a great season this year. He's going to get all EBL honors. So it's not like it's just Chandler running around, being the main part. It's a team effort this year, and that's a big part of why Livermore's culture has really grown is that they're all bought in and they're all competing at the highest level.
And you look at their roster as well, some of those football guys that won their first league title since '93 are on it too.
DT Harper is a
Yep.
really nice player. Yeah, 100%.
I know Mateo Lordi, their quarterback, is on this roster too. So they got quite a few football guys in it, guys that were all region football players on this basketball team too. It's a winning culture, a winning class. that winning kind of mindset's coming back to Livermore High School. It's great to see. And then De La Salle, right? To still, it's impossible to stop, just completely just stop and I don't know, shut down a guy like Amari Chandler is the right way to put it. But for them to even just contain him, what more does that say about De La Salle and especially that defense and how problematic that's going to be for teams when it comes to the postseason basketball, where you've somehow got to devise a way and game plan a way to figure out how in the world do we get clean looks against this unit.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what I said about Clayton Valley, De La Salle's backbone is their defense, and it's always been the biggest part of their identity and one of the big keys for why they've had so much success, why they were able to win that NCS Open title last year. And I mean, kind of similar to Clayton Valley. I think Clayton Valley's got a little bit more athleticism at the bigs, but they're just long and they're just big, and it's hard to stop them. And defensively, they use that length to really disrupt and cause problems for other offenses. And when you have a guy like Chandler who, is I believe 6'4", 6'5" himself and is strong off the dribble, and you can just put one of these kind of lengthy, taller players on him, it makes it difficult, of course, with a height advantage and with being able to match up against him. And it's not just one guy; they got multiple players like this. And with Mark Schroeder leading the way, this is just the backbone of the team, and this is how they do it. This is how they win. This is how they always are right in the mix at the end of the year.
And now, James, before we finish this all up, lots of great topics today. We'll ask where you're going to be going these next few days, but first, will Giannis become a warrior?
Will Giannis become a warrior?
Yes.
Um, Wow, really putting me on the spot here. A lot of people say the Warriors have the best package. I don't get why. I really don't get it. Like Miami's got some pick swaps with Milwaukee. They would get some of their picks back. I don't know. That would be pretty interesting. Atlanta is got the same thing. Uh, but if the Warriors get Giannis, I mean, apparently, I guess it's all about the picks. Is that the Warriors can just ship out every post Steph pick, every pick swap, and that is super intriguing for a franchise like Milwaukee, who might be chomping at the bit to get a piece of this post Steph Warriors, which will be doom and gloom, just like how it was before he came. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen before the trade deadline, but if he's still around in the summer, or the Warriors will probably be aggressive.
I
Because
think,
that six, if he's out for 6 weeks and you trade for him, you're saying we want to win now. And the Warriors, as the roster is constructed right now, and if they give up the assets like a Podziemski, a Kuminga, some of the guys, a Moody, some of the guys who are playing big minutes right now, are you going to stay afloat until he gets back? And I don't think they can.
man, I would love to see this happen. I hope it happens. You owe it to Steph to go all in one more time. You know you're going to be bad post Steph anyway for some time. That's just the way it goes. That's the way the NBA trickles down, and maybe eventually you find a way like Cleveland did, where they regrouped post LeBron a lot quicker than I
Yeah.
thought. I thought it would maybe be 20 years, to be honest with you, considering what that franchise had done for quite a
The
while. And obviously, it's worked out a little bit better for them than I thought.
the pro for it, the funny thing is the pro for giving up the picks is who's the Warriors' biggest impact player in the draft in the last 12 years? Kaminga?
Yeah, and
He's got 1 foot out of the door?
yeah, he's 1 foot out the door. Kerr won't play him, but Joe Lacob, the owner, loves Kaminga, right? There
Yeah.
was that James
So,
Wiseman did not pan out.
yeah,
Pajemski,
so you
they
haven't you
yeah.
haven't hit on these picks anyway.
No. And Pajemski was anointed an all-star by Lacob after year one, which is wild behavior to have. I've liked Pajemski then, but that is crazy to just say, oh, he's going to be an all-star this next year. I can't fathom that. They haven't really hit on many of these. I think there's a lot you can like about Kaminga, but I don't think he fits. Kerr's not going to play him. There, I think he just needs to go somewhere else and
Yeah,
develop.
we'll see.
Get right. We'll see. Um, Now, number two, James, where are you at these next few days? Where are you at tonight, tomorrow? Where are you at next week?
Tonight, Thursday night, I am at the Bell game in Marin County between Terra Linda and Santa Fe. Really excited to see this one. Always a packed crowd, always a big house. Um, Santa Fe's Luke Shapiro has been spectacular this season, so I'm excited to see what he can do. He's averaging close to 25 points per game. Really, really special player. And on Friday, I'm really excited for this matchup as well. I'm at a battle between the two undefeated DAL girls teams at Clayton Valley. The Ugly Eagles will take on Acalanes. Clayton Valley is a super talented team that's kind of built up for this moment to make a run at a league title. And even beyond that, they played San Ramon Valley, they played Riordan, Caruthers, even teams like Centennial and Etowanda. And they're super talented. Junior Ellis Scott's a walking double double. Diawana Clay, I'm names as you start to learn during this podcast. I'm sorry, it's not my strong suit. Do you want to play?
There's a lot of names we rattle off too, right? So unfortunately, probably
Yeah.
some won't get hit perfectly, but if you want
I'm
to let us
sorry.
know,
I'll start off by saying I'm sorry.
I'll always message us and let us know how it's said, and
Yeah,
no hard feelings.
she's one of the top playmakers in the Bay. Lucy Gaitron, senior, can shoot the lights out. It's a super talented team that's been a top 10 team in our rankings for the majority of the year. And Acalanes, hey, thanks for they proved me wrong. I at the beginning of the year, I didn't see this team as the contender it is in the NCS and even in league play after graduating that impactful senior class headlined by KK Lockenlale, who was the league player of the year last year, and Dulcie Vale, who's down at Cal Poly playing this year, them leaving. But that culture, Margaret Gartner, holy crap, has built just shows itself. And they piled up big wins to reach this point, 7-0 in league play. You know, they got Lexi Lee, who's, whew, if you haven't seen Lexi play, she is a hooper. She can play, and if you need a big shot, she can get it for you. If you leave her open, give her any space, good night. You're not going to be able to, she's going to knock it down, and you're going to be down 3 points. And it'll be a super, super fun game on Friday night.
Yeah, all sounds a lot of fun. We got more fun stuff next week on how I'll be at one of the East Bay games on Tuesday. We'll just figure out some results tomorrow, see how that goes, and see where I'll be Tuesday helping out in the Bay Area too. But James, thanks as always for coming on. Follow all his great work, westcoastpreps.com. You can use WCP 7 days. It's the number seven, all caps for that too. For a free week on the monthly subscription yearly, it'll be WCP 30 days, all caps, numerical for 30. And you sign up anyway, there's also a free couple of days with subscriptions anyway too. But if you want a few extra days of free, use those codes as well. But everybody take care, stay safe, and hopefully by the time you listen to this, or hopefully by the next time we record, Giannis Antetokounmpo is in the Bay Area.